Isang napakagandang umaga po sa ating lahat, sa lahat ng press at sa guest natin dito sa Zoom at sa lahat ng nakikinig at nanonood sa Facebook Live. I wish you all a safe and I hope you're healthy and well. Ako po si Jerry Amarnani ng Pinay Bike Commuter.
Naman po si Red Constantino, kasama ni Jerry today mula sa ICSC.
So last week po, we held a press briefing on the Mobility Awards, which aims to prioritize the needs of the majority and push for active, sustainable, and inclusive mobility for everyone, including pedestrians and commuters who use public transport. The award's inaugural round will recognize the most bike-friendly cities, workplaces, and commercial establishments in Metro Manila. As we have said in previous discussions, 88% po of households in Metro Manila and the Greater Manila area do not own cars.
So magandang umaga sa inyong lahat kasi alam natin we will be having a really great discussion today. And of course, that will not happen without our advocates joining us, mobility advocates with long experience in the things that really matter. You know? Advocates from different organizations who will discuss issues that majority of Filipinos face daily on the streets. Of course, kinararangal ko po na ako po ang sidekick ni Jerry ngayon, co-moderating with Jerry, an all-women panel, a proper panel. So take note lahat ng cycling advocates, but also those that are also fighting for other causes. This is how a panel should be, and we are delighted, I am delighted to be the co-moderator of Jerry.
Sir Red, mas kinarangal ko na maging sidekick mo today. And maraming salamat sa ICSC, sa lahat ng organizers ng Mobility Awards for this opportunity. And I'm very much excited kasi as sinabi nga ni Sir Red, this is an all-women panel. And actually, our speakers will be addressing a systemic inclusion of the mobility needs, not just of women and children, but also persons with disabilities or PWDs, as well as the youth and the elderly po.
Lahat yon, pero syempre, hindi lang yon. Sapagkat pag all-women panel, sakop ang lahat. Hindi lang pang women, pang lahat yan. So, sa lahat ng mga kasama natin, everyone just tuning in, good morning uli sa inyong lahat. Stay tuned. We have a rich discussion today. And there's a lot more in store for everyone. Pero before we proceed, of course, we'd like to say hi first to our colleagues watching us today. Marami kayo, and of course, alam natin na this is an opportunity for everyone to be coming in and lending their views. Don't be shy and don't hesitate to come in and just say good morning, ask questions, listan nyo lahat ng mga kinakailangan, and there's really far more in store for everyone. So again, yung nauna, no, dun sa last time sa press briefing, nauna siya uli. May medalya ka na siguro dito, Mr. Abdul Borio Rojero, mabuhay ang mga Pilipinong bikers. Mabuhay ka rin po, sir. Emil Fajardo, good morning from a long-time bike commuter. And Gil Rawat, good morning. Ang dami ninyo, stay tuned and listen in. No? Jerry, ang dami nating gagawin ngayon. And I think it's important to hop straight in and introduce to you our speakers. No? Joining us today are 6 women who have already started the conversation long time ago by strongly advocating for inclusive mobility in Metro Manila and the rest of the country. As if you had tuned in last week, we already said, first stop natin, Metro Manila, kasi dun ang tuntungan natin for the rest of the country. We will be moving towards a far bigger mobility award soon. But for now, it's important to introduce to everyone what's in store. Our first speaker, I'd like to introduce to you, She is the Secretary General and sectoral convener in Move as One, a broad civil society coalition of 140 organizations and 77,000 individuals, 77000, advocating for a safer, more humane, and more inclusive public transportation system in the Philippines. She is currently a junior associate of REYCEL Incorporated, a development consulting firm focused on collaborations for sustained impact, social impact. She's also a passionate public transport advocate, having joined her father in jeepney strikes and rallies against the fuel price increases that she's encountered since she was 7 years old. Graduate po siya na class valedictorian and University Student Council President with a BA Management Economics degree from Ateneo de Manila University. Last year lang po yun. Everyone, please join me in welcoming REYCEL Hyacinth Bendana. Hello, Haya.
Hello po, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Ayan, salamat po sa introduction, sir. Excited po for today.
Very good. Mas excited kami dahil nandito ka. Jerry?
Grabe, paano ko naman tatapatan yung energy na yon, Haya? Maraming salamat. So, papakilala ko ang ating second speaker, okay? Dahil pinasa na ni Haya ang level. Our second speaker is a climate reality leader since March 2016. Since then, she has been volunteering in various activities for the environment. Her main climate advocacy is actually green jobs. Aside from encouraging students and youth to take on careers for the environment and sustainability, she endeavors to encourage more professionals to challenge business as usual and incorporate green into what they already do. She currently works on sustainable finance research, but she is also a trained environmental planner and chemical engineer. This pandemic has driven her to tap into her old planning and mapping skills in what she hopes and what we all hope can help towards building a better normal. So let's all welcome LENLENINI Jamandores. Hello, Len. Magandang umaga.
Hello. Good morning. Magandang umaga. So, very excited na makausap kayong lahat at magkaroon tayo ng malalim na talakayan today. Good morning.
Good morning,
Thank you, Len.
Len. Thanks for joining us. Alam mo, Jerry, may third speaker din tayo. No? Again, mas makulay ang daigdig, mas magara, mas bongga. Dahil ang third speaker natin is an environmental planner and an urban cyclist. Bukod sa, aside from working as a transport consultant at the Asian Development Bank, she's also the founder of Life Cycles PH, a group dedicated to providing bikes to frontliners during the pandemic. If you were paying attention to a lot of the news from all over the country, you would have probably seen her because she is one of the most important leaders, especially during the lockdown, who made sure that our frontliners, from the medical personnel to sanitation colleagues, to a lot of other people struggling through this pandemic, she was there to ensure that they had the transport support that they needed. She's also part of the Move as One coalition, which continuously pushes for better public transport and safer bike infrastructure in Metro Manila. In her spare time, hindi ko alam kung gaano karami yung spare time na yun, baka magpapaliwanag siya mamaya. She helps put up pop-up bike lanes in different cities within Metro Manila. Ito yung mga spare time na naging mainstream sa kanyang buhay, took over her advocacy as well because that's a measure of her commitment. She recently conducted bike workshops in Metro Cebu as part of Alt Mobility PH. Napakaraming sombrero. Join me please in welcoming KEISHA, ALENA, MAYUGA. Hi KEISHA, kamusta?
Hi, good morning. O nga, ang dami ko ng sombrero dito sa likod ng background ko. Hindi niyo lang nakikita, pero lahat ng sombrero ko healthy. So, good morning ulit sa lahat and excited to be here and to hear everyone.
Yeah, amazing work, KEISHA, honestly. Because dahil sa ginawa nyo, marami tayong natulungan ng mga frontliners na makapag-trabaho dahil sa ginawa niyong proyekto sa life cycle. So thank you so much, Keisha. Actually, dahil sa platform mo na yon, nakapagpahiram din kami ng husband ko ng bisikleta ng anak ko. Although nung umpisa ayaw niya, pero syempre when we explained to him, he finally agreed. And until now, I think she's still using it. She's a nurse from Makati Medical Center. So thank you, Keisha. Our fourth speaker, okay? She's actually my inspiration. Kaya ako nagpapatuloy sa bike commuting. Our fourth speaker is a graduate of European languages at the University of the Philippines. She wears many hats, katulad ni Keisha, katulad nating lahat, katulad ng lahat ng kababaihan. She wears many hats: wife, mother, grandmother, daughter, sister, teacher, and cyclist. She currently works as a non-motorized transportation specialist sa Transport Office of Pasig City. She and her husband, si Sir Rosar, are founders of Bicycle Friendly Philippines, an organization that promotes cycling as an essential and sustainable mode of transportation. As an endurance and commuter cyclist, she enjoys touring the Philippines on a bicycle with her husband, children, and friends. She hopes to experience a bicycle-friendly Philippines in her lifetime. Actually, pareho po tayo, Miss Karen. I really hope na in our lifetime, or sana bago man lang magkolehiyo yung mga anak ko, is magkaroon na ng bicycle-friendly talaga yung Pilipinas. So let's all welcome Miss Karen Silva Crisostomo. Kumusta po, Miss Karen? Magandang umaga.
Magandang umaga. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our viewers. I'm really very happy and honored to be here with such wonderful and wow, really a great group of females, especially, of course, our Thorn, including our Thorn, si Red. And really, kagaya ng sinabi mo nga, no, I added that yung sana in my lifetime. Dati I used to say, I do this for my children. I do this for my children's children. Pero alam mo, gusto ko na makita, I mean, I also want it for myself. So I want to experience a bicycle-friendly Philippines in my lifetime, in our lifetime. Hindi na mahaba yun, konti na lang yun.
Yeah, same here, Miss Karen.
Actually, mangyayari yan in our lifetime because of the people on this panel. The people on this panel are probably some of the most stubborn in the entire country. Ang titigas ng ulo pagkat alam nila tama, ipapadyak nila. And so our fifth speaker is one of those who will ensure that we will realize our dream in our lifetime. No? She is the co-founder and spokesperson of the Bikers United movement. She worked in media and entertainment for more than 20 years as a band manager and producer. Talk about iba-ibang sombrero. But also changed career paths 4 years ago. She's now a media consultant for different NGOs and an anti-domestic violence and sustainable lifestyle advocate. The hats that matter, the causes that really matter. She is active in projects for backyard farming and inclusive mobility sapagkat sa mga kababaihang nagsacycle, nagbibisikleta, lahat uubra, nasanay bilang babae na multitasking. Yun ang training. One day, ahabol ang mga lalaki, pero malayo pa kami. Kailangan pang pumalik. Let's all welcome Ann Angala. Hi Ann, magandang umaga. Please say hello to our viewers.
Hello. Hi Red, hi Jerry. Hello all the viewers. Nakakataba naman ng puso yung Red, yung iyong introduction. So I'm so glad that I'm part of this panel, and hopefully, I've seen men already also who have who do multitask. So I'm sure dadami pa tayo nito na people who take on different hats and take on different advocacies. See you later.
Thank you, Ann.
Salamat, Miss Ann. Our final speaker, last but not the least, I had the privilege of meeting her in the Pinay Bike Commuter community. And nagpapasalamat ako sa kwento niya. Kasi honestly, when I posted her story in the page, maraming nag-comment, maraming nag-share. So she is the social media and program officer of Firefly Brigade and is also part of the organization's board of trustees. A motion graphics designer by profession, she started biking to work to avoid traffic while serving as a weekend food trip rider. Realizing the benefits of cycling, she volunteered as a Firefly Brigade ride marshal, hoping to guide newbies and invite bicycle commuters, especially young and female. She also worked to address the mobility needs of vulnerable road users, which include pedestrians and PWDs. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome a good friend of mine sa community, si Koy Castillo. Magandang umaga sa iyo, Koy.
Magandang umaga po and masaya po ako na kasama ko po kayong lahat dito. Very flattering po.
Same here, Koy.
Thank you.
Jerry, na-introduce na natin lahat. Dive straight in na tayo, no, sa ating discussion proper. But just before we do that, it's a reminder for everyone, everyone watching us on Facebook Live. Kung may tanong po kayo, if you have questions for our speakers, don't hesitate to place them on the comment section and our colleagues will send them our way. Babasahin po namin ni Jerry yan. Yung mga tanong na ipapadala nyo or comments nyo, check yun. Ibibigay namin sa mga speakers and they will actually be the ones to help answer or address or respond to your comments. Paano, Jerry?
Okay, ready na. Actually, ready na lahat dito sa panel na ito. So magsisimula tayo kay Haya. She's the Secretary General again of Move As One. So Haya, our first question for you. Okay, Move As One is a broad coalition with varied, sometimes overlapping interests. As cycling continues to gain prominence, are you not worried that yung cycling boom might displace jeepney drivers?
Alam niyo po, ang simple lang pong ang sagot natin dyan ay, bakit naman? Parang, why would it? Malaki na po ang transportation crisis at shortage bago pa man magkaroon ng pandemic. In fact, even if we release all public transport supply, halimbawa, there will be about 5 million daily unserved trips sa NCR lamang sa Kamanilaan. If we have better active mobility infrastructure, halimbawa po permanent protected bike lanes, sa matagal na natin hinihingi, bike racks, bike parking, ground level crosswalks, wider walkways, maayos na well-lit streets, etc., yung 5 million unserved trips po na yun will be a lot safer. But in reality, it will take really a lot of time and a lot of paradigm shift for our decision makers in prioritizing people instead of cars. It will take a lot of convincing also for non-cyclists that the streets are safe for them too. Hopefully, this happens po sa sunod na 5 to 10 years. Pero po at the moment, patuloy po tayong lumalaban dito para po i-demand yung mga bagay na to because we want to have a livable city kung saan po okay ang ating mobility. And even if this 5 million unserved trips, for example, marami po, I don't think that our jeepneys will be displaced in the foreseeable future. In fact, hindi po cyclists, hindi po magbibisikleta ang makaka-displace sa ating mga jeepney driver, pero po ang ating pag-fast track ng modernization policy ng gobyerno.
Okay, thank you so much, Haya. It's true. I don't think that the cycling boom will really affect jeepney drivers. Tama po yung sinabi ni Haya. Haya, I'm just curious, nabanggit kanina sa intro mo that you have joined your jeepney driver father sa mga rally, sa mga strikes nung bata ka pa. Actually, I have seen an article about you last year yata. And you were very young in that picture and you were so fierce and so brave. So how do you feel about the ongoing ban of jeepneys due to the lockdown? What is Move As One's stance on this? Yung sa'yo muna personally and Move As One as a whole.
Opo. Personally, Ate Gary, masama po yung loob ko. Masama po yung loob ko sa current policy ng government bilang pong anak ng jeepney driver. Si Papa po ay nag-drive na ng jeep simula pa po 1-year-old pa lamang ako. Nakatapos ako ng kolehiyo na nag-drive siya ng jeep. Niyo po kami talagang kinayod niya kami, yung buong pamilya namin ever since. Minsan natutulog siya sa jeep mismo kasi po wala, mahal ang renta. So instead na ipagbayad niya sa renta, pinapadala niya na lang sa amin. So ito po yung konteksto ng ating mga jeepney drivers. Karamihan sa kanila ay galing mga probinsya na nasa Maynila, nasa jeep lamang nakatira at nagpapadala ng mga nila papunta sa kanilang mga pamilya in the province. At karamihan po sa kanila, actually most of them, gising na po sila ng alas 3 ng madaling araw para po makapasada ng alas 4 dahil po madami tayong commuters na alas 4 pa lang ay nagko-commute na at minsan po buong araw yan hanggang alas 12 pagarahe pa lang po sila dahil sa last batch ng commuters na naipit sa trapiko. So sobrang sipag po ng ating mga jeepney drivers kaya masama po yung loob ko na ganito ang trato sa kanila ngayon kasi hindi po karapat-dapat na ganito ang trato sa kanila. Not only because masipag sila, pero dahil tao po sila na gusto lamang ng disenteng hanap buhay. Ano po ang stance ng Move As One dito? Tatlo po ang stance namin. Lagi po to the rule of 3. Unang-una po, gusto po namin i-fast track ang ayuda. Marami po sa ating mga jeepney drivers ang hindi pa nakakatanggap ng ayuda. Kalahating taon na rin po. Simula nagkaroon ng lockdown 6 months and itong mga jeepney drivers natin, araw-araw po ang kanilang kita, minsan hindi pa nagkakasya. Tapos ngayon, kalahating taon, paano po nila to sinosurvive? Karamihan sa kanila ay nagmamalimos na sa daanan, nagmamakaawa na sila po ay bigyan ng kahit konting sustento mula sa gobyerno. At yung mga nakatanggap naman po, which is medyo marami-rami naman, first wave lang naman po ang natanggap. So 2 weeks ago lang po kausap namin ang Fairview, UV Express Alliance naman po, hindi sila jeepney drivers pero still in the driver community. Simula po noong lockdown, 2,000 lang po na piso ang natanggap nila. And meron po kasi policy ang gobyerno na kapag nag-GCQ ka na, hindi ka nabibigyan ng ayuda. Pero po kahit naman GCQ tayo, ang karamihan sa ating mga jeepney drivers, hindi pa po sila hinahayaang pumasada. So wala pa rin silang hanap buhay at kailangan nila ng suporta. Ang pangalawa naman po, i-release po natin, hayaan po natin bumiyahe ang lahat ng mga ating jeepney drivers at hayaan natin silang bumalik ng trabaho. Sa totoo lang po, hindi naman po ayuda ang kailangan ng ating mga jeepney drivers, hindi po ayuda ang hinihingi nila. Hindi po sila mga people gaya ng tatay ko na kahit kailan po hindi sila nanghihingi ng pera, ngayon lang talaga sila nagmamalimos. Ang gusto po nila makabiyahe ulit, makapaghanap buhay. And I think ito po yung importanteng manuwan sa discussion na to. Nung binan po ng ating gobyerno ang public transportation, hindi lang po hanap buhay ang nawala sa ating mga jeepney drivers, pero pati dignidad nila kasi malaki po ang kanilang dignidad at pride sa kanilang paghahanap buhay sa araw-araw, sa sikap at tiyaga nila. At nung binan po sila at finor sila mamalimos, ito po ang tinanggal sa kanila. Grabe po ang public transportation shortage natin hanggang ngayon. Halos 2/3 pa lang po ang nare-release. Meron pang around 20,000 units na gustong bumiyahe, pumasada sa Metro Manila pa lamang. Hayaan po natin yung 20,000 na yon bumiyahe. At ang pangatlo naman po, service contracting. Ngayon po, meron tayong minimum physical distancing sa ating public transportation, so ang kanilang capacity ay less. So para po makakomply tayo sa minimum health protocols, ang ating jeepney drivers po ang sumasalo ng financial loss para ma-improve ang ating minimum health standards. Para po sa amin, bayaran po sila ng fixed guaranteed income para po hindi sila malugi sa araw-araw at matulungan nila ng mas maayos ang gobyerno na mag-comply sa physical distancing.
Maraming salamat, Haya. Napaka-importante actually ng lahat ng sinabi mo. And you know, as Filipinos, it's not really about money. Importante yung sinabi mo na it's all about dignity of life and to be able to, move forward with dignity. Kasi honestly, we all have our chosen professions and as may mga nagsabi nga sa akin before, there are no degrading jobs, only degrading people. So I really hope that mabigyan na ng spotlight ang ating mga public transportation, lalong-lalo na po yung nasa jeepney sector. So thank you so much, Haya. Last question from me. Is there a common position? Is there a common position within Move As One, including transport groups, on the transition to electric jeepneys? Kasi syempre ngayon, everybody is pushing for sustainable environment and part nun is magkaroon ng electric jeepney. So anong masasabi mo dito?
Thanks, Ate Gary. Balikan ko po yung sinabi niyo. Gusto ko siyang i-echo. Yung tungkol po sa dignity, totoo lang po na kahit minsan hindi po kinahiya ng tatay ko at ng mga kasamahan niya. Pamilya ko po, truck driver, jeepney driver, UV Express driver. Yung po yung henerasyon ng aking angkan. Kahit minsan po, hindi po nila kinahiya ang pagiging isang driver. Gusto lang po talaga nila na magkaroon ng hanap buhay. To your question po, actually, Ate Gary, yung Move As One po, meron po kaming kasamang napakaraming transport groups at labor groups kasama namin. So kasama po dito ang National Confederation of Transport Workers Union na may nationwide pong membership. Kasama rin po dito ang pagkakaisa ng mga manggagawa sa transportasyon. So marami po sila nakasama namin at clear po yung stance namin. Humihingi po kami ng makatao at just na transition. Take note po, just transition. Kasi po hindi naman against ang ating jeepney community sa more environmentally compliant jeeps. Kahit po sila minsan nahihirapan sa usok, sa polusyon, kasi sila po yung 12 hours, 18 hours ang nasa biyahe. Sila po yung nandiyan nakababad sa init ng araw sa lahat ng polusyon. Ang gusto lang naman po nila at hinihingi nila ay isang just transition. Hindi biglaan, hindi yung papabayaan ang sektor na siyang bumubuhat. Hindi lamang po sa ating mga manggagawa na siya naman bumubuhat sa ating ekonomiya araw-araw. In fact, in this pandemic, our drivers are one of our most essential frontliners na nag-transport, hindi lamang po ng ating essential goods and services, pero ng ating manpower, ng ating mga medical healthcare workers. At yun po, just transition. Gusto po namin na magkaroon ng hindi biglaan na transition going to environmentally compliant units. Dahil po, magkano to? 2 milyon, 3 milyon ang bawat unit. Kung arawan ng jeepney driver sa 18 hours sa pamamasada, and this is based on my father, 800 lang po ang kita niya sa 18 hours sa pamamasada. How do we expect them to actually raise money to buy a 2.8 million unit? Unang-una. At pangalawa po, ang argument naman is, paano kung loan? Okay, yung loan po, these are 7 years to pay. Minsan araw-araw mo atang hulugan na latest competition nila is 700 to 800 pesos. So ano po yun? 18 hours ng pabiyahihin ng ating jeepney drivers. Tapos 100 lang o halos wala silang mauuwi sa kanilang mga pamilya for 7 years kasi magbabayad sila ng utang. Hindi po kaya. Gusto po namin sumunod. Gusto po namin na magkaroon ng mas magandang transportation system sa bansa. Pero po sana hindi po maiiwan ang ating mga jeepney drivers sa transition na to.
Thank you, Haya. Maraming salamat. Obvious dapat sa lahat ng mga viewers natin, if you want depth, if you want breadth, kung gusto niyo ng lalim tsaka lawak na usapan, make sure you have an all-women panel. Then, things change. Good morning po at mabuhay muna from Jason Villeza. May bati pa dito. Hi, Karen Crisostomo from Emil. From Kenneth Abante, Go, 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 Manila Mobility Awards, and shout out mula kay Aldrin Pelicano. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. Galing kay Giovanni, good morning, mabuhay ang siklistang Pinoy, at kay Jojo Armenta, cycling is a good solution for the traffic indeed. Maikli ang oras natin. Meron akong ilang tanong, sasabay-sabayin ko na kay Len. Len, bilang isang climate reality leader and an alt mobility advocate and planner, may response ka siguro dito because we often hear complaints that new bikers, new cyclists lack discipline. Hindi sila nandun sa lane lang nila. Anong tingin mo dito? Second, as we go nationwide in our next round of the Mobility Awards and go beyond cycling also to include walking and taking public transport, anong tingin mo? What considerations should the Mobility Awards organizers consider when it comes to promoting sustainable, inclusive transport and overall mobility for all? Meron pa po tayong ibang speakers, pero si Len, syempre, her voice really counts. Len?
Thank you, Red. So, susubukan kong sagutin niya ng or susubukan nating gawing concise yung sagot dyan or mas para makover natin. So napakaraming pwedeng isagot or napakaraming makocover ng mga binanggit mo. So una, paano from the pananaw ng or from the view of an isang urban planner, and then paano naman kapag pinalawak pa natin. So maraming mga tanong, hindi lang from the urban planners, hindi lang from the cyclist itself. dapat involve yung buong community. Kasi pag nagde-design naman tayo ng mga bike lanes, pag nagde-design tayo ng mga city plans natin, road signages, hindi lang naman yung bikers yung gumagamit, yung mga car owners yung gumagamit, tayong lahat yung gumagamit. So mahalaga na lahat ng mga involved or lahat ng nangangailangan ay included dito sa discussions na to. So yung ang mahalaga dito is makita natin yung importansya or yung value rin ng safe cycling facilities. Lalo na yung nabanggit dun sa tanong na kailan ba magkakaroon ng bike infrastructure na magiging safe at accessible sa lahat. So yung dami ng mga gumagamit ng roads natin, hindi lang sa paglalakad at sa pagsacycle. Meron baka makalimutan din natin yung mga persons with disabilities na kailangan din ng accessibility sa mga lugar na to. So pagdating sa planning at sa pagdating sa pag-advocate ng active mobility or alternative mobility, napakaraming na nating tawag kasi nga kung paano kang mag-travel per tao, nagbabago yon kung paano ka man or parang iba-iba yung way ng pagta-travel ng bawat isa. So yung gusto lang natin is maging lahat tayo makarating dun sa gusto nating pupuntahan. So ngayon, nagkaroon ng krisis, nakita natin kung sino yung mga pinaka-disadvantage or kung sino yung pinaka-limitado yung options nila para makarating dun sa gusto nilang, sa kailangan nilang puntahan. Hindi na nga to leisure lang or di kaya hindi siya parang hindi siya required na siya, kailangan na talaga siya ng mga tao. So kaya naman mas mabuti rin na pag-igtingin natin yung call natin for a fair and just transport network at saka city plans para din mas maging maayos yung transportation for everyone na gumagamit ng mga roads natin. Sana na-cover ko yung mga tanong, Ma'am Red.
Thank you so much, Len. Tama ka dyan. Tawag natin dyan, hashtag leave no one behind. Making sure na yung mga vulnerable groups talagang included in this advocacy. Len, may additional question lang kami. Given your background at sa expertise mo sa pag-aaral mo, kasi yung Mobility Awards, we aim to go nationwide sana in the next round. And to go beyond, syempre, cycling, to also include walking and taking public transport. Ano yung mga considerations na pwede mong maibigay sa organizers ng Mobility Awards na pwede namin i-consider when it comes to promoting sustainable and inclusive transport and, kumbaga, overall mobility?
So napaka-exciting yan, Jerry, na magiging nationwide na yung Mobility Awards. So ngayon kasi naka-focus tayo sa Metro Manila. So yung mga roads, daanan dito talagang roads. Pero when you go nationwide, actually napakaraming mga cities na merong mga best practices na ginagawa na nila. So sana mas makita yon na the cities are adjusting to how the people behave. So yung mga disenyo ng mga cities natin, mahalagang naka-incorporate yung behavior, yung kultura dun sa natatanging mga lugar na yon. So sana mas baliban pa sa yung accessibility lang, yung mga basic metrics natin, sana mapakita rin yung mga ganda ng kultura or ganda ng paraan ng pamumuhay dun sa mga iba't ibang lugar na mas kaya maayos yung pamumuhay dito sa mga, halimbawa iba yung makikita mong kalsada sa Baguio, iba yung makikita mong kalsada sa coastal cities. So napakaganda, exciting na makita natin kung paano na nagbiyahe yung mga tao sa iba't ibang mga syudad.
Thank you so much, Len. Napaka-insightful ng mga sinabi mo. So, check muna natin again yung mga comments sa Facebook. Sabi dito, the electric jeepney idea is anti-poor. And then may nag-comment din si Jojo Armenta, sabi niya, true. Yes. And later siguro, i-park muna natin yung questions. Pakinote na lang siguro, organizers. Sabi dito, are you in favor of overpasses? Okay? And then, comment from Jason Villeza. Go Ate Len, Javandores, inclusivity in all aspects. Yes, sabi ni Jason. Meron pa ba? Okay. Sige. I will go na to our next speaker, si KEISHA, the founder of Life Cycles PH. Okay? KEISHA, ang tanong namin, isa kang urban planner and you have launched initiatives in such as EDSA Evolution. How do you think Metro Manila cities responded to the current transport situation?
Thank you so much for that question. Actually, I would say the initial response was of shock. Kasi it happened overnight, quite honestly. And that's also our response. We funded Life Cycles PH overnight. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng walang transport. Susunod na araw, wala namang warning or anything. So the response, I would say the initial response was really of shock. Nobody knew how to get anywhere, and the first thing that people did was really walk for hours. And that is the most basic form of transport. And siguro, napansin din ng mga tao na hindi pala walkable yung mga cities natin. Pero I think, one of the good responses to it is that cities started seeing that, hey, we have to make this walkable and we have to make it bikeable. Kasi more people were picking up na, hey, pwede pala mag-bike. Hindi ko yun alam. Kahit kung walang jeep, pwede pala mag-bike. Pwede pala yun, basically. So, yun nga, when we launched the EDSA Evolution on May 24, that was already 2 months in after ng announcement ng ECQ. Everybody was like, wow, pwede din pala to. And so it was really more of a domino effect from there. Cities started putting up their own bike lanes, putting up their own pop-up bike lanes. At hindi lang sa Metro Manila, sa nationwide, sa Metro Cebu, meron din sa Naga coming up. Ang dami, and I'm hoping na it's not just a trend because we're trying to respond to the pandemic, but something that is even more long-term. So this is really the time to change it, because this is people are not seeing it, but we have like a window to change how we get around, how we transport people, how we plan our cities. So, talks like these, the mobility awards, all of these initiatives, this is like we're experiencing a revolution, a historical revolution in transport, in city planning. And I'm just so glad that everybody here actually in this panel and all the organizers were part of that. And even people here watching, hello viewers, you're also part of the history that people will be studying in the future. So let's keep going at it. Yun lang.
Thank you, KEISHA. Isa pang tanong, some say that cycling is an exclusive transport in a sense that not everybody knows how to cycle or are physically able to do so. So, anong masasabi mo about that? And sa tingin mo ba, dahil sa quarantine restrictions, yung demand ng bisikleta ay tumaas?
Sagutin ko muna yung last question. Definitely tumaas siya. Dahil sa life cycles, di ba, nakikita ko naman yung supply, nauubusan din kami. Pero it's good too na tumataas yung demand for cycling, and people didn't foresee that. And nung nag-MECQ, kailan ba yun? Nung May, June, July, confused na ako sa mga CQ. Pero yung nagbukas na yung mga stores, that's when everybody went to Quiapo, to all the stores, to the bike stores. Tapos wala, ubusan na talaga. So the demand is so high. I wish I could count it one by one. Pero we could see it with our own eyes na ang dami talaga nagbibisikleta. So definitely we have to keep answering to this demand by supplying the proper infrastructure, by putting protected bike lanes in our cities. And I think we're already on the way there. We're just hoping na, we have to pick up the pace kasi each day that passes na walang protected bike lane, we're putting nurses at risk, we're putting doctors at risk, essential workers at risk because they just want to get to work. They just want to make a living and they want to protect our community by helping save people in hospitals, by delivering groceries, etc. So yun talaga. And then to your other question, the exclusivity in cycling. I mean, I admit not everybody can cycle, but for the people who can cycle, the moment that you choose to get on your bike and use it to get around, you're making it easier for many other people who don't have that choice or who don't know how to ride the bike. For the people who have disabilities and can't ride the bike, you're giving them a seat on the jeepney or in the bus. You're giving them space on the road. So if you are able and if you are you're capable, and if you want to save on money and be healthier and also save the environment, I think, you can choose to ride a bike or even your other active transport modes. Because, you have to get into that mindset na every time you choose active transport, the moment that you want to walk or that you want to bike, you're saving that space for people who can't, for the people who are unable to or, are disabled. So that's my response for people. And for the other people who say that they don't know how to bike, it's never too late. Because dati before the pandemic, I used to teach people how to bike, and the oldest, the most senior I taught was like 67, and she actually learned how to ride a bike. So it's never too late. Especially if you're in a nearby park or a closed road, it's the perfect time really to learn how to bike. So kung hindi pa kayo marunong, go.
Go. Ika nga ni Keisha, that's the two-letter word that you should all really take seriously. Go. Go is also directed towards a question that I want to ask my dear friend, si Karen. All the questions so far, all our panel, our speakers will have a lot to say on the questions posed, because I think in the cycling community, in particular the women's cycling community, sharing is the mode. Insights, tips, questions, comments. Let me ask you, Karen. Ang dami mo sombrerong suot, but this one is quite important. You are currently working as a transport specialist with Pasig City's Transport Office. There is a lot of confusion, but also a lot of coordination challenges. What do you think should national and local governments be doing better in order to improve mobility for all? Mula sa taga-Pasig, papunta sa national at pabalik. Ano ba dapat gawin, Karen?
Okay, thanks for that question. First, I want to also commend Keisha. I love your positivity. Totoo, ha? And go lang ng go, but really, your positivity is a breath of fresh air.
Exactly.
When we talk about local government, mixing passion and mixing, now it's work. I can't call it work, but I have to say that, for example, local government, Pasig City has already been leading the way before the pandemic in terms of making the city bicycle friendly. Most recent, of course, if we move back 2011, they already had the bicycle transportation promotion ordinance. And so Pasig City already had those bike lanes. They were not pop-up bike lanes, they were real bike lanes. Now with the pandemic that came in, the city came up with the Pasig City government resolution, which said that bicycle is an essential form of transportation. We are no longer using the word alternative. It is an essential mode of transportation. And not only that, they also came up, the Sangguniang came up with really prioritizing bicycle network. So in a local aspect, not just Pasig City, other cities have also taken up, started putting up pop-up bike lanes. Now, how can we make mobility better intercity? One time I was in a meeting with a national government agency, and they asked, how can we make a Metro Manila bicycle network? And sabi ko, let's be very practical. Pasig has a bike lane network. Quezon City has a bike lane network. Marikina has a bike lane network. Why don't we connect them? We can start there, because if you realize the bike lanes are all segmented. In fact, sometimes they're so short. So you'll be safe in a short portion, but before and after it's still not safe. So in terms of working together for local government, that's one thing that you can do, that they can really work together to connect the bike lanes. When it comes to national government, way back in 2008, we already had the EO 774 that said, those who have less in wheels must have more in road. 2008, that's 12 years ago, the national government was already mandating different agencies to prioritize active transport. Now let's fast forward. Fast forward tayo. DILG Memorandum Circular just came out, 2020-100, the highest priority in the development of proper sidewalks and network of bicycle lanes to promote sustainable and inclusive transport. Okay, and also DPWH came up with a department order prescribing guidelines on the design on bicycle facilities along national roads. Alam ni Jerry to, I became a bit emotional because, there are people who are saying, what? Cyclists don't belong on a national road. Ang sagot ko kasi is that roads were meant for the mobility of people and not just for cars. So many people forget that. So how can we match this? How can we work together towards this? I guess really we must be on the same page, because sometimes you can have this maganda. The policies are there, they're in place. But how about implementation? How about the engineering, the infrastructure itself? It's all nice on paper, maganda on paper, but we really, really want to see things happening. And now is the time. This is the window, which is why I've changed, the tono. I said in my lifetime, it must happen.
So we have momentum, Karen.
Yes,
we have momentum.
Yes, we do. Let's not lose it. So napaka-importante rin talaga is education. Everybody, kasi the cyclists we know I was listening to the previous question nakalagay doon. Cyclists should not are undisciplined. They take the lane. Again, because car-centric, people are thinking in terms of the road belongs to a car. So education is very important, and national government can use, and local government units can use their public information offices to really spread the word about how to educate not just the cyclists, it's also the car drivers and everybody about what's going on. Because you'll see that the pop-up lanes, if I may bring up, the pop-up lanes are so nice sa media. But the cyclists who use them will come out and say, it gets narrower. You see people pushing. It's no longer to how it was. And why is that? Who are the ones pushing it? It can either be residents. It can also be traffic enforcers. It can be, so, and why are they doing it? When you ask, bakit nyo ginagawa yan? Kasi nakakasikip po sa daan. It's making the road tight or more traffic. Again, it's because of a mindset. The mindset, okay? So, importante talaga yung engineering. If we're going to do anything, let's do it right. I see infrastructure, DPWH, they're building sidewalks, and yet no matter what's on paper, it's not standard. They're not following what they have, stated as a guideline. The sidewalks are narrow and the sidewalks are disappearing. So anong gagawin? Well, you'll balance out, again, your putting pedestrians in danger. If I may,
Karen,
I'll answer. Yes. And
we have
one more enforcement.
We have two more speakers, but I'd like you, before I pass on, we go to Koi and Anne. No? Something very quick, if you can answer this. And I'm pretty sure you can answer this in your usual, concise, very simple way. I saw a comment once, which I found ridiculous, but it was a real comment. Pati ba naman ang pagbabicycle, pagbibisikleta, gine-gender pa? Ang sagot ko yan yata yung ilan sa mga tamang gamit ng Susmar Joseph. I mean, are women cyclists on the rise? What are men not catching? What are we not seeing? What are we missing? And what do you think?
Is this for Koi or for me?
For you, Karen.
Okay, definitely female cyclists are on the rise. When I was biking to work before the pandemic, ako lang nakikita sarili. Ako lang. When when it started opening up again, yung nagbibilang ako, there are 20, whereas 0 to 20. So yes, female cyclists are on the rise. And remember, why? Because again, there was that lack of public transportation. Is it still going on? Yes, because to ride a tricycle and to ride the jeepney is very difficult and very restrictive, very limited. And remember, ang kababaihan, the women, we take so much. We go to the market. So it's difficult to carry, and walk. So people will continue, women will continue to use the bicycle. And why gender, why yun na nga, na stereotype na women are the ones that go to the market, or women are the ones, or women don't bike. No, women don't bike because we're supposedly labeled as the weaker sex. So these things we must change. We must change. And how can we change it? There are like the group of Pinay Bike Commuter has been very, very helpful in bringing women together. No, salamat kay Jerry for doing that. There are also other women groups, or Mobile in Manila has been talking to other people, and women including. Yeah. And so when other females hear the stories, it's nakakaengganyo. It encourages other people to continue biking.
Jerry?
Yes. Thank you, Miss Karen. Actually, nabanggit nga ni Keisha that yung sa count niya, 1 out of 3 women ay nagbibisikleta na. So, napakagandang balita yon kasi marami nang naglalakas loob na kababaihan ang magbisikleta. Pero katulad nga ng parati nating sinasabi at katulad din ng pinagtatanggol nung susunod nating speaker, kailangan talaga natin ng maayos na infra. Kasi ang mga kababaihan na to, katulad nating lahat, we all have different hats. We are wife, mother, sister, grandmother, and we are a loved one of someone. And it's very, very important that, we have safe spaces and that we are able to go through places safely. And yung susunod nating speaker, si Miss Anne. Miss Anne, salamat sa napakatapang mo na pagtatanggol with regards to your movement. So as a staunch advocate for women against domestic violence, ano sa tingin mo ang maitutulong ng cycling and greater mobility in general para ma-empower pa ang mga kababaihan?
Well, taking from my experience, I was domestically abused kasi. And for me, biking was the one that empowered me. So when I got on the bike, it gave me happiness. Kumbaga, the bike was the one that healed me. So if there's anything that I can share with everybody there is that biking can really, getting out on the roads, being able to, yung kaya mong harapin ang jeep, ang bus, kaya mong tumibas sa tricycle, can just prove that, you're strong physically and you're strong spiritually also. So I guess for me, that's my biggest testimony to biking na talagang, and when I was going through, parang anxiety, whatever, I just get on my bike any time of the day, kahit midnight yan, go around the block for a couple of hours or siguro kahit 30 minutes, and I'm better. I get home kalmado na ulit ako. I'm able to think, I'm able to work, all that. So there are a lot of things, not just physical fitness. No, mental health is a big issue that biking or other physical activities can help. Yun. What else
Yeah,
pa ba?
very true.
Yeah.
Kasi totoo yan. Kasi kahit nagbibisikleta ako sa napaka-busy na streets ng Mandaluyong, kahit nakaka-stress yung mga ibang public transport na kasabay ko, or pag nagbibisikleta ka talaga, iba yung dating mentally, not only physically.
Yes.
So, tama ka talaga, Miss Anne.
Then you feel the wind blowing against your wind. Parang ang sarap-sarap, and then you're one with nature, and then you're one with your bike. Parang you're just so free, and it's really empowering. I mean, not only for women but for children, for men. Anybody who gets on the bike kung mas lalo na pag you're in your element. Me, I'm so much in my element when I'm on my bike. I'm happiest when I'm on my bike. So I wish I can share that with people also.
Yun nga, yun nga rin yung isa sa mga advocacy ng Pinay Bike Commuter. Kasi talagang, ramdamin nyo ang init sa mga cheeks nyo at ang
Exactly, oo.
Napakasarap ng feeling. Hindi
lahat
ka iitim, promise.
Oo, lahat ng lubak, di ba? Kahit na sagasaan mo yung lubak, nandiyan ka pa rin. Kahit bumagsak ka, tumayo ka. Di ba? Kasi wala kang choice eh. So even if you fall, it's like parang, what do you call it? Like it's a metaphor to life, diba? When you get, you fall off your bike, you get up and then keep on pedaling, something like that.
It's true.
Yun.
Miss Anne, can you tell us more about the Bikers United movement? Kung paano siya na-form? And ano yung mga ina-advocate nyo, especially on inclusion in the transport system? At ano yung mga future projects nyo or naiisip nyo sa movement na ito?
Yeah. Yung Bikers United, it started as Bikers United Marshals kasi 1 week before the opening up to GCQ, kasi ECQ tayo, MECQ, naging ganun. Tapos, din nagkaroon ng REYCE nga, as Keisha said na nagkaroon ng REYCE. In fact, di ba, very active tayo nun sa life cycles. Ang dami-dami ng bikers, ganon. A week before that, nag-monitor yung mga kasama namin sa Commonwealth because that's the biggest highway and that's yung tawag natin, the killer highway of Quezon City. And I think buong Metro Manila, because 10 lanes, there's so many different kinds of transportation, the buses, the private transport, the motorcycles that pass through that. And then 1 week na, wala pa rin nangyayari. And then we see the rise in numbers. Nag-monitor kami, we saw parang 1,200 rush hour lang. Tapos nag-increase to 1,500. Tapos alarming na siya. So, si Yeb, yung kasama namin, he knew that, I was bike commuting during the pandemic still. And then another friend, si Albert, they came to me and said, let's all get together and do something. So, usap-usap, what to do. And then we came up with Bikers United Marshals. Sabi namin, we'll put up pop-up bike lanes in the most crucial part of Commonwealth. Papaalam ba natin to? Maybe no. Wag na muna. We check the law, and then the law does not say it's against the law it's not against the law to volunteer. It's not against the law to put markers. So sabi namin, okay, we're safe, kind of safe. So that's what we did. A few days before, nag-paint kami ng mga plastic bottles, 6 gallons, yung mga ganun, nanghingi kami sa mga kaibigan. Tapos nag-paint kami ng mga what do you call that? Yung signages, ganun. Tapos we put them up on Commonwealth. So pag-open up ng GCQ, which was June 1, we did the call to a lot of bike groups also. Pero syempre, parang dahil pandemic, hindi masyadong maraming sumama. But then, tuloy-tuloy, we put up these bike lanes there. In fact, nagkaroon pa ng konting gulo with MMDA, but now it's all well. In fact, we're already working together in a lot of projects, ganyan. So that's how it all started. So every day up until now. Ngayon naman, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday na lang kasi people are working already, so we really can't do our daily thing. So yun. And then
Miss Anne, ano yung mga susunod yung mga
future plans namin,
or
we're very much into, syempre, we want to do education. We do, in fact, natapos lang with the National Development sa Luneta ng workshop on cycling. But then we always take the cue on what's happening all around us. The reason why Bikers United Marshals, na Bikers United movement na ngayon was was formed just because of the need for to protect bikers on the road. Tapos nung nagkaroon ng ordinance about the helmets, we really made a strong statement na napanood daw ni Mayor Belmonte. That's why tumawag sa amin ang Quezon City PIO, and they said, let's do a project together. So now, because of that, we're doing a project naman na we're giving away helmets. Although I think today is the first day of yung paghuhuli. But kind of they did their part naman kasi namigay naman sila ng mga helmets the past few days. So we take our cue on what's happening and what's the need of the biking community.
Okay, so speaking of helmet, babalikan natin kayo dyan mamaya. For our last speaker, Koy. Hi, Koy. I'm very happy to see you, face to face now. Koy, as a social media and program officer ng Firefly Brigade, why do you think na meron pa ring stereotype that cycling is mostly a male sport?
Malaking bagay kasi yung expectations of women, lalo na ng dalagang Pilipina dito sa atin eh. We're expected to be conservative, prim and proper, domesticated, makinis, maputi. Yung cycling kasi, it just brings the opposite of that. Parang magiging madumi ka kapag nagbabike ka, iitim ka, hindi talaga hindi siya yung sinasabi nilang girly sport to begin with. Nakakalungkot kasi parang associated siya sa stereotyping ng females when it comes to driving. Yung babae kasi yung may ganun kagad. So meron pang another myth na when I started biking na lagi ko naririnig na parang cycling diversionizes women. May mga ganun pa. So, I think malaking bagay na kailangan kasi ng, like Miss Karen said, yung i-educate natin yung mga tao. Hindi lang yung newbies natin, pati yung mga veterans. Re-education. Kasi, malaking bagay na car-centric kasi tayo eh. And we have to break the bad habits of being car-centric.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, Koy. Maliit pa lang ako, tinuruan ako ng tatay ko mismo na magbisikleta. So, walang stereotype doon. Pero nung nagdalaga na ako, unti-unti na, ang society, ang culture, nagdidikta sa akin na parang, tigilan mo ng kakabisikleta mo, iitim ka, lalaki legs mo, yung mga stereotypes na gano'n. And even until now, a lot of people in my office would tell me, ikaw nagbibisikleta, just because I look like, for example, like prim and proper. And I would tell them, yeah, posibleng magmukhang ganito na nagbabike commute. Hindi, kasi na-stereotype na sila na, porket nagbabike commute ka, mabaho ka, or pawisin ka, or everything. No, it's not. Achieve na basta kung meron kayong will, kung meron kayong kakayahan, then go. Kaya yon. Koy, last question. Ano yung initiatives ng Firefly Brigade to get more women into cycling? Kasi based from your own experience at sa perspective mo, what will it take for women to choose to bike as their main mode of transport and as part of their recreational activity? Actually, ang pinopromote talaga natin is, for them to be able to go anywhere, you can just use your bicycle. So anong initiatives ng Firefly Brigade dito?
Firefly Brigade kasi for the past 20 years, they've been conducting events that are friendly to young people and females. Yun yung mga lagi naming initiative. So far, yung half of ng officers namin ngayon is women. Before the pandemic, we've been doing critical mass rides. Meron kaming Women's Monthly. Meron din, sinusuportahan din namin yung mga friends namin from Baguio sa Daily Cycle Movement, yung monthly menstrual cycle ride. For yung mga tour of the Fireflies namin, tawag dito, nagme-maintain kami ng certain pace para maka-catch up lahat ng young people, pati yung females. And at the same time, yung invitation namin for the ride marshals is not limited to males. Na kailangan makita din nilang empowered yung women namin na nagma-marshal din sila. Kaya nilang mag-guide din ng tao at hindi lang sila yung binabantayan. Yun po.
Yeah, thank you, Koy. I like what you said about the menstrual ride. It's really important that, as a woman, wala talagang makakapagpahinto sa atin, even our periods. And some people are still, saying na, pag meron ka, you better stop, nangihina ka and all of this. But posible magbisikleta kahit merong menstruation and all. Even pregnancy, nothing can stop a woman. It's just that, honestly, the infrastructure is really what's stopping us from going out there. Bago tayo pumasok sa Q&A, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng nagbigay ng mga comments, ng mga shoutouts, and especially yung mga tanong sa Facebook. Kinokolate na po natin yan, yung mga organizers. Pero bago po tayo pumunta doon, magbibigay lang po ako ng maikling update tungkol sa Mobility Awards. So, okay. So, as of yesterday po, October 14, we have a total, of 167 nominations. Grabe, mahihirapan ng mga judges natin dyan. And we have 10 cities competing for the title of the most bike-friendly city. So excited na ako kung sino yung mananalo dyan. And last week, we only had 8. But now, Makati and Caloocan are also competing for the title. We also have 21 nominations for bike-friendly workplaces. Among the new nominations are Pro 2000 Services Incorporated in Mandaluyong. Hello po. And Climate Change Commission and De La Salle Benilde sa Manila. Okay?
Mahihirapan kayong mga judges, Jerry.
Oh.
Very good. Happy
Sige
problem.
Lang. Yes, happy problem indeed. Tapos, last but not the least, we have received a total of 74 nominations for bike-friendly commercial establishments. So far, most of these nominations are located in Quezon City. So, mga kapatid...
74, Jerry?
74.
Alam,
74.
with you sa mga judges. Buti.
Yun nga,
Buti
kailangan
yan.
mapuntahan yan. Kailangan suportahan yan. Imagine, they're supporting bikers in their establishment. So, mga kasama na nakikinig, kung hindi pa po kayo nakakapag-vote or nakakapag-nominate, kung hindi pa kayo nakakapag-nominate ng isang bike-friendly city or workplace or commercial establishment, please visit mobilityawards.ph or puntahan niyo po yung Facebook page ng Mobility Awards and click nominate now. Or you can just go directly to bit.ly/mobilityawards.com and you will be directed to the nomination form. We encourage you to share your photos when nominating. Importante po sana ang litrato. Although the judges will also do some due diligence, pero importante po na may mga litrato. And please don't forget to like and follow on Facebook para po makita nyo yung mga updates. Ang nominations ay magtatapos next Thursday, so 1 week from now, and we will announce the winners on Facebook on October 29. So, Sir Red.
1 week na lang.
1 week.
1 week na lang. So,
Isang linggo na lang.
Jerry, ang daming questions na pumapasok, ang daming comments, but I guess let me state the obvious muna bago na tayo pumunta sa questions. If you are a viewer and you tuned in to the very start of this discussion, from the introduction to the explanation to the articulation of our speakers, alam nyo na hindi lang usapin ito na maraming sombrerong suot ang ating mga speakers. They are a measure of courage themselves. When people talk about bravery, they should be talking about women as a first example. Reproductive health, menstrual cycles, domestic violence. These are not women's issues. These are our issues. So if you're a man and you're not paying attention, listen very closely. Kasi issue natin lahat yan. Katulad lang sa cycling. No? Hindi na pigeonhole, hindi papayag na magkasya sa isang maliit na karton ang mga kababaihan. Ang sinasabi nila sa inyo ngayon, pang lahat ang mga issue na ito. At hindi pwedeng mamili. We do not have the luxury of choosing one over the other. When you want a cycling revolution to take place, that needs to happen with the gender revolution as well. Sabay-sabay yan. Our speakers have articulated that kahit na maikli lang ang oras nila. And the truth is, I don't think you can enjoy a panel as much as we are enjoying it right now, because you are seeing examples, you are hearing examples of courage and bravery. And yet, kung nakikita nyo lang ang aming chat box ngayon, bonggam-bongga. No? I don't think you would see a lot more I love yous to one another sa panel. No? If you are having an all-male panel, boring. No? Kita ko, I love you. Ang laki, all caps mula kay Haya. Sagot naman yung isa, I love you rin. Elintech, lahat kayo inspiring sa amin. Yan ang energy kapag all-women panel. Bongga na, matapang pa. One question from Gina Gatarin. How do we address the challenges of heat and rain flooding which can seriously compromise the safety and health of our cyclists? Salamat at mabuhay. Sinagot agad yan, no, ni Aldrin. Hydrate. Bring water. Stop when you need to. Plan your trip. Break down your commute so you can avoid easily flooded streets. Ganun lang po kasimple yan. No? Listen very closely. No? From Emil Fajardo Rebano, it's good that a lot of Filipinos are now considering the bicycle as a means of transport. But maybe I will ask Haya and Len after, no? The question from Emil, which is, do you think that these same people who are cycling now will revert back to their pre-pandemic transport once the pandemic is over? That's a very interesting question, and that should be in our Q&A. From Abdul, thank you, Ms. Haya, for being a steward of the transport community. Kami rin nagpapasalamat kay Ms. Haya kasi nandito siya at ginawa niyang mas bongga at makulay ang ating umaga. Para sa akin, sabi ni Abdul, the new normal on the transport industry, unfortunately, is corporate greed and profit. Paano nga ba natin pagsasama-samahan ang mga sagkang polisiya para matamo ang dignity for all on transport rights? One thing I want to tell others, ICSC was the electric jeepney pioneer. We launched the first electric jeepney fleet in 2007, but it was never meant to be the transport solution. When we launched the electric jeepney fleet, the first one in Makati in 2007, we've always asserted the same thing that our panel of speakers are saying now. The electric jeepney is not the best mode of transport. It's not even cycling. It's walking. So make walking and pedestrians the main priority. Everything else will follow. Multimodal, sari-sari. Lahat dapat option. Hindi lang yung mga may sasakyan, the minority. I think that's the same throughout the country as well. Ang dami natin pwede pang tanungin, pero siguro let me throw that question to Len and Haya. Pasok agad kasi marami pang iba. What's your view? What's your sense? Ano yung pulso nyo? Pag tumigil, pag natapos na yung pandemic, tingin nyo babalik yung mga nagsacycle ngayon to their previous mode of transport, which is 4 wheels, or maybe even looking for their own cars or motorcycles? What's your sense? Len, mauna ka.
Oh, thank you, Red. So para sa akin, sana ma-retain nila yung paggamit ng cycling. Kung magagawa nating maayos at mas convenient yung mga kalsada natin, kaya nilang i-maintain yun. Pero alam rin naman natin na maraming needs. So marami silang kailangan puntahan. We cannot limit them to anong mga pwede nilang gawin. Pero sana dahil napakaraming benefits, health benefits, environmental benefits para sa ating lahat, hindi lang para dun sa mga individual.
Hello po. Dagdagan ko po. Ay, sige. Sinabi po ni Ate Len, nasabi niyo po, lagyan ko siya ng more bureaucratic discussion. So ngayon po sa ating budget sa DOTR, 0 billion po halos ang budget para sa road transportation. So kasama na po doon yung protected bike lanes, PUV only lanes, investment sa mga public transport terminals. So for 2021 po, wala pong budget pa ang DOTR para po doon. So one thing we can do para po ma-make sure na mawala yung traffic at ma-maintain ang ating mga cyclists sa cycling, ma-maintain ang ating public transport users, for example, for public transport, at iwasan ang motor vehicles at ang mga kotse, is to invest in this important and critical road infrastructure.
Oh, thank you very much. Very clear yon. Let me ask you something na that also came up kaya. Sabi ni Jack de la Cruz, responding to the insight from Anne. Alam nyo, true story, yung impact to mental health, hindi masyado na-discuss. Positive impact pag ikaw nagbibisikleta. In your own words, in your own style, anong feeling mo pag nagbibisikleta ka when cycling to commute? Talaga bang may impact sa mental health, Haya?
Ako po ba yun? O si Ate Anne?
No, nagre-respond si Jack dun sa insight ni Anne. So I'll ask you, as a cyclist yourself, mas bongga ba ang umaga o hapon, or does it have an impact on mental health on you, for you?
Yes. Feeling ko po, nasa probinsya po ako ngayon, hindi po ako lumalabas ng bahay, pero nagbibisikleta po ako paminsan-minsan. At feeling ko po parang nakakalaya ako. Alam niyo po yun, pag may hangin, pag narinig mo yung mga ibon, kapag napapaligiran ka ng mga bagay-bagay and you're moving very fast, you're moving, parang may wings. At ano po siya, parang it's a very childish way of putting it, but it really makes you feel free. And I think that freedom is important for mental health.
Okay. Let me ask Karen. Surveys have consistently shown that 60 to 70% of people who chose to cycle during the pandemic will keep cycling, even if public transport is available. You think the surveys are accurate?
I was thinking about that because many of the testaments, because like Jerry has been interviewing women, Rosie has been interviewing women, and many of those people who shared their stories are saying, have realized that, wow, ang sarap pala ng feeling to bike. That's one. Kaya ko pala mag-bike. That's two. Three, why will I go back to, that experience of waiting in line or wasting so much hours stuck in traffic if I can have that feeling of freedom on a bike? So it's possible, and it's that the survey is correct, or the data is correct, that these women who have discovered cycling will continue to cycle, especially because it makes you feel good, not just mentally, physically also.
Thanks, Karen. I wonder if our other colleagues, KEISHA, si KEISHA nag-cite pala nung survey na yun, Hindi yun nerd moment. It's just a person who pays attention to facts. But I wonder, KEISHA, anong initial na views mo on the nominees so far? Sa mga nakita mo, are some of those deserving? Meron bang dapat na nominate? Meron bang wala na dapat na nandun din?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure marami pa. And early on in the pandemic, when I was also delivering bicycles to frontliners, the furthest I got from where I live is Valenzuela. And surprisingly, a lot of people in Valenzuela were actually the ones picking up cycling more. They were actually one of the first. And on that day, I went to 16 cities. And I only saw in Valenzuela na doon talaga nag-mainstream yung biking, and they had bike parking already before anyone. got. I mean, like there's storefronts, at least 3 to 5 bikes were outside, and even the narrow roads, it's filled with cyclists, and the cyclists are actually prioritized kasi like, and the cars are kind of forced to drive slow kasi mga 3-4 line of 3 or 4 people biking yan at that time. So, you know, I would really love to hear from Valenzuela. But the rest, I'm so happy to see that there are actually a lot of establishments and workplaces and cities that have been nominated. If it were me, everybody should be nominated because that would actually encourage people to be like, who's better at this, right? And, you know, it's healthy competition. So, you know, hoping to see more in the list.
Valenzuela. Lahat ng mga Valenzuela. Oy, makinig kayo. Nabanggit na kayo. Anong tingin mo, Jerry?
Sa tingin ko, kailangan i-nominate sila. Kasi, thank you, Miss Golda. She reminded us na hindi pa nanonominate ang Valenzuela. So please, mga taga Valenzuela, i-nominate nyo na yung city nyo. One comment from Miss Catherine Joy. Sabi niya, if infrastructures are established, most likely the recent bikers will not revert back. That is if the government sees it as an opportunity to improve the transportation situation. Actually, totoo yan. Marami talagang mahihikayat na magbisikleta. Pero alam nyo ba, kahit wala pa tayong infra, marami na rin talagang nagbibisikleta. It's just that now, dahil mas madami na tayo, so, you know, kailangan talagang ipagtanggol natin yung karapatan natin sa daan. And I have a question here, actually, with regards to that kay Miss Gina Gatarin. Any one of you can answer. Sabi niya dito, how do we shift the mindset of Filipinos? That car is a major status symbol given our highly unequal society. Kasi diba sa kultura natin, pag may kotse ka na, pag may bahay ka na, na-achieve mo na yung tugatog ng buhay mo. So, anong masasabi nyo dito? And with children being socialized that to be successful means owning a car. And do we wage a war on cars? And how do we deal with the powerful interests of automobile companies and the entire system who sponsors these events and also this scholarship? So, you know, napakalaki ng, kumbaga, napakataas ng ating laban pa with regards to this. Anong masasabi nyo dito? Any one of you wants to answer? Miss Karen? Yes? Opo.
I mentioned earlier education. Let's start them young. Let's already start saying, or let's incorporate biking into the education system. Yung PE nila, wala kasi yun eh, it's not included. So let's put it into the education system and also into LTO, by the way. You know, education is napaka-importante. Start them young and change that mindset na paglaki ko, gusto kong bumili ng bisikleta. Imbes ng paglaki ko o pag nagtrabaho ako, kotseng bibilin. Let's start them young. I know Anne wants to also put in to speak.
Yes, Miss Anne.
Paso.
Yeah. I guess we have to also roll out something sa barangay level. Total, we already have the attention of the national government right now. Huwag na natin sila bibitawan. We have the ILG on our side already. We're going to have this national cycling event on November 9. So, you know, kung lahat kayo na taga-probinsya like me, I'm in Davao Oriental, and you know, the people here are also cyclists. Pero dun sa bike group namin, ako lang yung girl. Ngayon, parang sasama na nila yung asawa nila, yung mga ganon, yung mga anak nila. Meron dun sa cycling event on the 8th, nakikita nila yun eh. So I guess we just keep on cycling. And then, again, we roll out something on that level na talagang grassroots.
Okay. Cory, would you like to add?
Hiya. Ano po, what do you call that? Make it inconvenient and impractical for people to own cars. And what I mean is on the budget financing side, make it expensive for them to actually own cars. So that includes, for example, imposing congestion taxes. Kung ang pamilya mo, 5 yung sasakyan, 2 yung anak mo, tapos instead na mag-carpool, nag-iisang sasakyan sila going to school, you need to pay congestion tax, you need to pay higher motor vehicle usage fee. At yung mga kung ano-ano nakuhang investments na to, gamitin siya para i-improve ang public and active transport infrastructure sa bansa.
Totoo yan, Haya. Actually, pag once you own a car na and then you take a loan, doon mo makikita yung gravity ng yung bigat ng babayaran mo every month, plus the gas and all, maintenance, everything. Akoy, would you like to add?
Yes, about waging war against cars. I don't believe in that. Kasi realistically, kailangan natin pa rin ng mga vehicles na to. It's just that kailangan lang makita natin na pinaprioritize yung alternative transport also para to make it safer for everyone. Kasi lalo na lagi ko nakikita sa mga groups ngayon, sa mga comment section, like nag-aaway yung kotse versus cars. Kasi hindi naman dapat we should share the road kasi atin to. Sa ating lahat to. Yun siya.
Totoo yan. Hindi talaga kami galit sa sasakyan. Kasi kahit ako rin may sasakyan. Pero tanggalin lang natin yung over-dependency sa sasakyan. Na tipong less than a kilometer yung pupuntahan mo, kailangan mo pa magsasakyan. Pwede mo naman sigurong lakarin or gamitin yung bisikleta. So yun, we're not waging war against automobile giants. But, yung tanggalin lang yung over-dependency on usage of vehicle. So importante yan. Sir Ed, opo.
Jerry, actually hindi sa may digmaan, no? It's not as if there's a war between cyclists and motorists. The mindset is that of motorists is that that bicycles don't belong on the streets, that the streets are theirs. That is the problem. Because tingin ng mga nasanay sa pagmamaneho ng kotse o sumasakay lamang sa kotse na pangkotse lang ang mga daan. Not true at all. No? It's not true. These are commons. It should be enjoyed in particular by people who probably would prefer to walk in short destinations or cycle, no, instead of just simply driving a car. In fact, ang gusto ko sana example dyan, dalawang executives na babae who actually tried to measure their own expenses. That if we talk about costs in terms of that war, walang kalaban-laban ang mga may kotse. These women executives, when they started cycling to work, were averaging 20,000 pesos savings per month. Kasi hindi na sila nagbabayad ng gasolina, hindi na sila nagbabayad ng parking fees, hindi na sila nagbabayad ng maintenance. And so yung 20,000 na nasa-save nila per month, hindi lang sila nakapag-ipon para bumili ng mas magandang sasakyan na two wheels pa rin kasi meron silang mga pangarap na hindi kotse kundi bisikletang nais sila. Pero pampamilya ang kanilang naiipon. No? So, I think the war question, I'm not sure that's even a contest. Head to head.
They also saved on health benefit, yung health rin.
Exactly. No more gym memberships. And honestly, guys, pag nagbibisikleta ka, mas maganda yung tulog mo. Hindi mo mababayaran yun. Kahit anong pera. Hindi mo kayang bayaran ang mahimbing na tulog at maayos na pangangatawan. So, dun pa lang talagang panalong-panalo na ang pagbibisikleta. So,
yung mga nagmano, Jerry, pagpasok pa lang sa kotse at pag-andar ng ilang metro, mainit na kagad ang ulo. Pag nagbabike ka katulad ni KEISHA to work, I think iba ang disposition. KEISHA?
It's true.
Actually, I have to admit something, everyone. I drove this morning. But anyway, precisely the point that Koy said kanina, it's not really a war on cars.
No.
Actually, since I started cycling, whenever I drive, I think that's the first time I drove in the past 6 months, actually. Mas nako-conscious ka talaga sa road for the road users. Kasi your experience as a cyclist gives you a perspective on what the dangers are like for when you're driving. So, if you don't know how dangerous a car really is, try biking even once, any main road, and then you'll see how careful you have to be around these people with no protection. I mean, like, there's a helmet, pero alam mo yon, like, you have a whole metal car with you, pero isang ganun lang sa cyclist, you can hurt them. And just to a point na it's not really a war, but it's also on how we view cyclists in general. So, hindi siya yung parang for the people lang who can't afford or for the people who have no other choice, but it's for everyone. If you own a car, you can bike. Definitely. Like, I just told everyone earlier that I drove, but I still choose to bike 99% of my trips. And I only have to use the car for when you need it. So it's not really a war. It's more of, let's make it easier for everyone who needs to get anywhere. So whether car, bike, public transportation, walking, let's just make it fair for people. Let's move people, not just cars. That's it.
So it's about choice.
Yeah.
That's why we need a women's panel, because choice is what is always at the front. Anong tingin mo, Jerry, no?
Wait lang ha. Baka kasi makalimutan ko to. Sir Red, kanina pa tumataba yung puso ko ha. Kasi honestly, you are the perfect example of #he for she, #men as allies. And I really hope na sana dumami pa yung tribo mo. Isama mo na dyan yung husband ko, tsaka yung mga anak ko, at ang mga kapatid na lalaki, at tatay siguro ng panelists. Kasi honestly, yung fight natin on women and girls empowerment, it's not just from women. It should really also come from men like you na naniniwala dun sa advokasya namin. I mean, we're not trying to overpower everyone. We just want our equal rights. And maraming salamat, Sir Red, for that, bago ko makalimutan yon. So, next, tingnan natin yung comment ni Sylvester McIntosh. Sabi niya, I've been a bike commuter for more than 20 years now. Wow, congratulations po, sir. Ako, magsi 6 years pa lang. Sabi niya, I've seen a lot of hostilities against bikers. At one point, I got resigned or defeatist about it. But the pandemic gave me a fresh hopes of cycling infrastructure. But of course, that will not happen overnight. Yes, sir. Totoo po yan. It will not happen overnight. Pero kaya po tayo nandito. Samahan niyo po kami na ipagtanggol yung ating safe space na ito. Kay, hold on, please. May comments pa ba akong na-miss?
Actually, gusto kong tanungin, Jerry, if it's okay, no? Si Ann at saka si Karen. Pero unahin natin si Ann, tapos si Karen, and then si Koy. The same question I asked KEISHA.
Sige po.
Sino yung dapat na nasa nominations na hindi niyo nakikita pa doon? Because this is the time we have 1 more week, 7 days para humabol yung mga dapat na nandoon. Because the judges, gawin natin ganito, pahirapan natin ang trabaho ng mga judges. Kasi wala ako sa mga panel of judges. Pahirapan. Sino dapat nandoon, Ann? Na wala pa yata?
You know, honestly, hindi ko pa nakikita yung list, di ba? Pero I would think na yung mga na-nominate ko are in the list na So, yun, hindi ko kasi hindi ko pa na-survey yung natin, yung list natin. Is there a list that I can look through para But I don't have major internet now. Sorry nag-tsunami, nagkaroon kami na kahapon, so I'm running on data.
Okay lang. Pero are there any businesses to remember in Metro Manila that actually should be nominated? Whether they're there or not, even if you haven't seen them.
Well, ako parang even prior to the pandemic, the Ayala, I used to live in Antipolo, so yung Feliz, I appreciate it so much. Was that this mall in in Marcos Highway. So I don't know if that was nominated kasi ang ganda-ganda pa ng itsura ng bike parking nila.
I see.
Yung Feliz Mall, Ayala. Yeah, that one. And I guess What's that?
I'm pretty sure, Ann, marami ka rin matuturo pagdating sa nationwide, lalo na sa Davao.
Yes, I hope talaga na that they embrace it. I mean, I'm in the province. I'm not in the city. I'm not in Davao City. I'm in Davao Oriental. So, I bike all the way to the center. And, I see a big potential on, the bike community here and, the cyclists. Kasi ang dami na eh. We just had a recent bike ride, 300 attended. So, ang saya. Tapos maluluwag pa yung mga kalsada. So it's the perfect time to put it up to put up the lanes, the bike racks, kasi fresh pa yung dito ang cycling dito, hindi pa bugbog. So pwede pang mag-push dito.
Ate Karen.
Yes, Kuya Red. I'm not sure if Robinson Small, if they've been nominated, but because I live in Antipolo now, hindi na tayo magkapitbahay, but I live in Antipolo, and even before the pandemic, they already were providing bike parking. The infrastructure was there.
Which one?
Robinson's Antipolo.
Okay.
Robinson.
Kasi Karen, hindi tayo magkakasya na Robinsons lang. Kasi not all branches are being run by the right thinking branch managers. Kaya kailangan specific tayo.
I see.
Which mall?
Okay. Yung Robinson's Magnolia, they also put their bike parking out front. Before it used to be all the way down, but now they put it out front. So that's another. So I don't know if they were nominated. I don't know if there's a nomination for smaller companies, but I used to I was a training consultant for Sugar Crafts, and I used to bike there along Pasig. And I used to bike there, and I was able to change, and they also were providing bike parking. So I'm not sure if Sugar Crafts Incorporated.
Okay, kung may kakilala sa Sugar Crafts Incorporated, if they weren't nominated or maybe na-nominate na sila, i-nominate nyo po uli kung na-nominate na, at kung hindi pa, please, huwag niyong kalimutan. Jerry, ang dami nating comments.
Oo nga po eh. Kay Kla. Hi, Kla! Kasama ko siya sa Pinay Bar Commuter Community. Sabi niya, true, sa improvement on your mental health. With bike commuting, it was a gradual process in my healing as a new mom and all other anxieties I have recognized. Once you ride the bike, you'll never go back. I remember we celebrated yung first 1 month niya of bike commuting. It was all over Facebook, and we were all very happy with that moment sa kanyang buhay. Kasi talagang, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, lahat yun eh. All of it are accomplishment sa pagbabike commute. Lalong-lalo na sa ating mga kababaihan. Merong isang tanong dito, kasi nabanggit kanina ni Haya eh. May tanong dito, ano po ang mensahe ninyo sa mga pinuno sa Kongreso dahil near zero ang budget ng road-based public transport. Hold on. Putol siya. Dahil near zero ang budget ng road-based public transport sa 2021. So, sino pong gustong mauna? Ano pong mensahe natin sa ating mga pinuno, lalo sa gobyerno, tungkol dito? Haya, would you like to say? Yeah.
Ano po, tulungan niyo po kami at ang DOTR ng ating mga ahensya na ipaglaban ng mas malaking budget for road transportation. Nangyari po kasi napasa nila yung NEP, so yun po yung parang budget proposal nila before the pandemic. So hindi po nila naka-allocate ng budget for road-based road-based public transport na siyang parang reform programs for COVID recovery. Kasi po halimbawa, kung patuloy na magkaroon ng shortage on public transportation, mag-overcrowd pa rin po sa mga pila, mag-overcrowd pa rin sa ating mga jeepney with our commuters getting desperate to go to work. So kapag po ganon, patuloy na pataas pa rin ang ating COVID transmission. So in order for us to defeat COVID, in order for us to really restart and recover our economy, kailangan po number 1 na una nating gawin is to make sure that we have adequate public transportation supply. Hindi lamang po para maiwasan yung overcrowding, but also to make sure that our workers actually get to work. At kasama po dito, hindi lang for public transport, also active transportation infrastructure. So sa amin pong propose na budget, we proposed 45 billion for this 2021 na budget. Ang total po niya over 3 years is 140 billion. Dahil po there's a severe underinvestment talaga in public transportation since 2016. Halos 2% lang po ng buong DOTR budget ang nakalaan for public transport ay for road-based infrastructure. Kasama po dito ang halimbawa pagtaas ng subsidy para sa ating mga jeepneys. Ngayon po 80,000 lang to 160,000 yung bago nilang release na ibibigay nila for transitioning subsidy to our electric vehicles. But what we're lobbying is at least 500,000 or 500,000 na subsidy from the government papunta sa ating mga jeepney workers para naman po hindi sila mahirapan. Kasama rin po dito ang pagtatag ng PUV lanes at protected permanent bike lanes, bike racks, bike parking para sa ating key establishment. So lahat po ng mga sinasabi natin kanina, mahirap po siya gawin, not only to change the culture in the Philippines, kung hindi po tayo magkaroon ng right facilities to actually facilitate that change to happen. At mangyayari lang po yun if we keep asking our Congress, right? Our congressman, tweet them, message them, chat them in Facebook. Kung may number kayo, text nyo. Manood po tayo sa budget hearings, magbantay, mag-monitor, and ask them for better public transport and higher public transportation budget. Road transport budget. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Haya. Totoo yan. Sir, ma'am, na nasa, government agency, tandaan nyo lang po yung number, 88. 88% po sa amin nangangailangan ng tulong nyo. So we really, really hope na mabigyan naman ng pansin kami this time. Kasi ilang months na ba tayo sa pandemic? So we really hope na talagang yung mga plano, napakagandang plano sa papel, maisatupad na talaga siya. And we have another comment, Sir Red, kay Jo Manalo. Sabi niya, true, biking or bikers makes one a better car driver as well. You tend to respect bikers and pedestrians you encounter on the road. Mas mindful sa ibang nasa kalye. Sabi naman ni Kenneth, sabi niya, agree po ako na hindi siya giyera laban sa kotse. Ang ganda po ng mensahe, kahit nga po mga motorista magbe-benefit sa active transport infrastructure. Ang mahalaga po ay ma-flip ang great inequality of our roads. May proposed special provision po ang coalition na sa lahat ng daan at tulay sa DPWH na at least 50% ng road space ang allocation para sa mga cyclists, pedestrians at public transportation. I think tama ba ako si Senator Pangilinan yung nagsabi niyan. May nakita ako right? Senator Kiko, salamat po. Ito po. Thank you po so much.
Napusuan ka, Senator Kiko.
Sir Red, ano po masasabi nila?
Ang mahalaga na I think for everyone who's watching this show, one thing that you should never forget is that there are really strong champions of cycling in government. Hindi lang silang majority. So what's our job? We need to empower them. We need to make their voices count. We need to help. Kaya rin tayo may mobility awards Kasi anuman ang batikos at sigurado naman na sa loob ng gobyerno may batikos din sa ibang ahensya. In the end, kailangan ng tulong-tulong. And so the bike establishments, the workplaces, and the LGUs, the local chief executives who are trying to respond to this question of democracy, because that's what it is. If 88% of households in Metro Manila and the greater Metro Manila area do not own cars, then it's a question of democracy. Give them a choice. Hindi lang cycling, as Haya had said earlier, maraming modes. They should be able to walk freely, cycle, take mass public transport, rail, or even electric public transport. Which incidentally, pag tayo nag-shift to modern transport that is low carbon, electric jeepney, public transport, wag natin kalilimutan, ang unang dapat makinabang ay hindi lamang commuters, kundi yung mga super at mga konduktor, yung mga kawani na nasa transport sector natin. Kasi sila ang nasa sentro rin ng ating equation. sila naghahatid, sila nagsusundo, at sila ang veins ng ating economy. If our transport system cannot do justice to our workers, especially those in the transport sector, para saan pa ito? Okay? So I think one thing na nabanggit kanina, which we haven't put enough time in terms of a discussion, maybe si Len can answer, or maybe KEISHA or Koy, this question on helmets. No, naglabas ng ordinance ang Quezon City government, halimbawa, requiring mandating the use of helmets, mataas ang fees, marami ang umalma. Pero it also showed to everyone that if you make your voice heard and share constructive criticism, our colleagues in government are also listening. So nag-ease sila, nagbago ng approach. Not everyone is happy, but everyone is also happy, I think, that people in government are also listening. What's your take on this issue, on helmets and other things? Now, maybe we go with KEISHA and then Koy and then Len.
Well, if you see other countries, it's not really a requirement to wear a helmet. Actually, most countries, not a requirement to wear a helmet. And to penalize for people not wearing a helmet, I mean, that's just outright discouraging people to cycle in general. So I think we should approach, I wear a helmet personally. I have like 3 helmets I don't need, but I have to give away. But I think the way we approach helmets should be like how we approach wearing face masks. Like, you know, people go out, people understand why they have to wear face masks. And no one's like, you know, outright catching people, hey, don't, you know, it's just understood by society that we wear face masks because we want to prevent the spread of COVID. The same way as maybe if we get people's understanding on why wearing a helmet is important, then we can encourage people to wear helmets. But, you know, penalizing isn't really, I wouldn't say is the best way. Maybe to encourage them the same way that we encourage people to suddenly have face shields, to suddenly have face masks everywhere. And people wear them everywhere. It's also a hassle, you know. It's also a hassle to wear a helmet. But people just have to understand why we have to do it. So I think that's the approach, like how we wear face masks. Yeah.
Koy.
Ayan. Yes, I agree with KEISHA when it comes to helmet. Kasi hindi naman po nag-guarantee yung safety ng siklista when they wear helmets. Pwedeng sa likod ma-aksidente yan. It's just that, yung pag-wear po kasi ng helmets, they have also to consider who the cyclists are. Na I appreciate that QC is giving away helmets. Malaking bagay yun, lalo na doon sa mga hindi nakaka-afford. But the thing is yun nga po, maraming hindi pa nakaka-afford and they don't understand. Doon tayo babalik na sa sinasabi ni Ms. Karen na education eh. We educate people to understand why they should do this when it comes to cycling. Marami pong bagay na kailangan pang trabahuhin with regards to that, along with developing the infrastructure. Yun po.
Thank you, Koy. Len?
Yes, so idagdag ko lang dun para paano ba may intindihan ng mga tao kung ano yung kung bakit kailangan ng helmet. Yung paggamit naman kasi ng helmet, it can vary din depende sa lugar. Meron tayong lugar sa south na kahit na sa motorsiklo, hindi nila recommended yung helmet. Meron silang local legislation doon na pinagbabawal nila yung helmet. Baliktad naman. So, depende rin sa lugar, specific yung kailangang rules na magagamit. Siguro para sa Quezon City, dahil din sa kondisyon ng mga kalsada nila, yun na lang siguro, siguro laging maisa ulo ng mga tao na kailangan nilang protektahan yung sarili nila. So, bukod pa sa safety reminder, personal protection din talaga. Pero kahit kasi sa sa safety standards, gumagamit lang tayo nung ganun kapag medyo wala na tayong ibang choice. or kapag yung last resort na yung personal protective equipment. So pero ang mas mahalaga pa rin is yung maayos natin yung mismong mga kalsada at kung saan sila gumagalaw. So sana makita ni Quezon nung mga nag-i-implement ng ganong rules na maliban pa doon, dapat last resort yun, mas ayusin natin yung environment natin.
Salamat, Len. No? Kung talagang nais natin protektahan ang mga siklista, the cycling commuters, let's start with also where the danger is coming from, which is vehicles with 4 wheels. That's where the danger is coming from. Naka-seatbelt nga yung mga nasa loob, pero hindi yun, that's only to protect those who are inside. What about those outside? Kaya maraming advocates ngayon, lalo na mga babaeng advocates na nagsasabi, interconnected, protected bike lanes, a network that really matters. No? There are questions here that came in, very interesting comment. No? Kaya sa Netherlands, especially in Amsterdam and The Hague, walang helmet kasi protected bike lanes yan. So even, I've tried watching people there. I've been there a number of times. Ang natatawa mga tao dun sa mga siklistang naka-helmet kasi para saan daw yun. No? And that's really true. May question din from Rosar. Okay, hello Rosar. Pinagpaliban daw ng Quezon City ang panghuhuli sa walang suot na helmet. If that is true, that is the right mode. What we want is encouragement, not penalizing, not punitive measures. Kasi makikinig ang mga tao. And as Alvin Pelicano of Manila Moves always says, discipline needs to be married to the right design, because the right design is what encourages the right kind of discipline. We have 10 minutes left. No? Maikli na lang oras. Ang bilis ng panahon. Jerry, may nakakalimutan ba tayo? I think gustong pumasok ni Karen. Nagtaas
Yes
din ng kamay siya.
Opo.
Very quickly lang, according to quoting Hill Peñalosa, infrastructure builds culture. And if you build for cars, you will get cars. But if you build for people on bikes and people on foot, you will get public life. So I would just like to say, no, for Quezon City, di pa rin ako sang-ayon na even if they lowered their the penalty, sa akin, no penalty. If you really are concerned about the safety of people, you build the right infrastructure.
Ulit, Karen, infrastructure builds.
Infrastructure builds culture.
Very
Build
good.
for people on bikes and people on foot, and you will get a beautiful public life.
Haya.
Yes po. Yung sa akin naman po, dagdag ko lang kina Ate Karen, importante rin na we have policy decision makers who really forward the share the road policy. Kasi po kahit anong infrastructure natin, kung hindi po talaga mababago yung buong kultura, kailangan pong consistently natin siyang i-implement as a policy. May nabasa po ako before na parang ang bisikleta at ang mga pedestrian sa gitna ng kalsada, para yung kababaihan in a world full of men. Parang no matter how defensive you are trying not to get hurt, you will get hurt. Kasi may mga tao talagang nananakit sa'yo. So, ang gusto po natin is mawala yung mga taong ganon, yung mga taong gustong manakit, yung mga motorista na gustong sumagasa sa ating pedestrian, sa ating mga siklista, and that will only happen if we really parang imbibe the principle of road safety and principle of road sharing, hindi lang sa atin na tayo nag-advocate doon kasi tayo yung oppressed ngayon, but also to our more dominant partners in roads. And kasama po doon ang ating mga car users, ating mga truck drivers, ang ating mga malalaking sasakyan na kailangan talagang irespeto lahat ng dignidad sa ating mga sasakyan at sa ating mga kalsada.
Thank you so much, Haya. Hashtag stop victim blaming. Okay? Yun lang po.
Ulit.
Hashtag stop victim blaming. Huwag nyo na kaming, bigyan ng spotlight. Tingnan nyo na lang sa paligid or samahan nyo kaya kami magbisikleta. Kung bakit kami ganito, kung bakit namin kailangan pag-usapan ng paulit-ulit ang bike infra sa Pilipinas. Shout out lang Sir Red kay Romeo Piloton, sabi niya, hindi pa nag-aaral ang mga anak ko. Nagbabike na ako, 27 years na. Nakapagtapos ako ng college sa 2 kong anak dahil sa bike. So mabuhay po kayo, Sir Romeo. Salamat po dyan. Si Ken Abante, sabi niya, ang ganda ng analogy mo, Kish, about wearing helmets like wearing a face mask. It's true. Wanted to extend the analogy a little bit. We wear a face mask because there's COVID. The goal is to remove COVID so we don't have to wear face mask. Parang helmet, the goal is to remove the causes of road deaths so we don't have to wear helmets when that time comes. It's true. Wag po kayong magagalit. Don't be hostile with us. Lahat po kami, actually, if I may say, majority of us, we do have helmets. We're not totally against it, pero sana tingnan natin yung mas malaking picture. It's not really the helmet that will really save a person's life, honestly. Ito lang siya, aanhin mo ang ulo kung ang buong katawan mo ay hindi na gumagalaw. So please,
Jerry,
let's all look at the broader picture, the broader problem, not just on cyclists and pedestrians. Sir Red, kayo na
Jerry,
po.
hindi, ang sasabihin ko sana, again, ang benefits of having an all-women panel is you see the analogies that really fit, no? Yung COVID ni Kish and the mask, if you want to remove road crashes, and you can remove the helmet, need for helmets as well if you protect the bike lanes. Ang gaganda ng mga analogy. Dugtong na natin doon sa kaninang binanggit uli, di ba? Pag catcalling, hindi kasalanan ng babaeng siklista kung anong suot niya. Malaswalan talaga mag-isip yung mga lalaki na mangmang. So hindi ang magre-reform ay yung babaeng siklista. Yung mga lalaki na hindi maayos ang pag-iisip ang kinakailangan ng reforma. Sila ang kinakailangan magnilay-nilay. So helmets, look at it the same way. You can do away with it if you actually pay attention to what our women panelists are all saying. Okay? Prioritize well, make sure we identify what is really needed. Jerry, malapit na tayo magsara, naubos ang oras, akala natin mahaba, yung pala sa dami ng pinag-usapan, kulang pa rin. Pero that's fine. Remember po, 1 week na lang. If you haven't nominated any business establishment, LGU, or workplace yet, now is the time. Huwag magpapahuli. Okay? And if you've already nominated, for instance, Robinson's branches in Magnolia, some of the SM branches as well, hindi lahat ng nomination ay sapat. Kasi nag-nominate ka lang pero wala kang pinakita masyadong proof, maybe another establishment will win over your nomination. So please make sure if you have a favorite workplace, if you are working in a place that is really nurturing of cycling, cyclists who commute to work, yung nagpapahalaga sa majority, nominate mo sila, take pictures, lend your testimonies, and ask others to add their nominations as well. Don't forget, meron tayong website in order to make your nominations via mobilityawards.ph. And with that, I think napakarami ng comments natin. Hindi ko na kayang bilangin. Susubukan nating sagutin yan in the next few days. May mga nagsabi pa nga na ano ba yan, ang daming one-liner, nahirapan kami magsulat. No? Ganun talaga. Pag meron kang powerhouse na panel, ganyan talaga. No? Kung kayo ay nag-aaral at ito yung binigay sa inyo na subject ng teacher, makinig kayo dito, ang swerte-swerte nyo naman. Okay, Jerry, following the way that we opened this, you opened it, I think you should close it as well.
Yun nga. Honestly, tapos na. Kasi parang ang sarap ng kwentuhan eh. And nabuhay yung dugo ko, honestly, dito sa kwentuhan natin na ito. Napaka-fruitful ng discussions and maraming salamat uli. Len, Sir Red, Koy, Haya, Miss Karen, Keisha, Ann, sila Denise, sila Ira, Celine, Miss Golda, Miss AC, maraming salamat for this Mobility Awards, for this discussion. Kasi importante na natatakal yung mga issues na to, lalo na yung issues ng kababaihan. So, I'm really hoping na mas marami pang talks na ganito, hindi man sa Mobility Awards pero sa ibang avenues na rin. And please follow Mobility Awards in Facebook para updated kayo sa lahat ng upcoming events and lalo na yung mga bagong manonominate. So, nominate your favorites now at mobilityawards.ph and let's have a bikeable and safe Metro Manila together. So maraming salamat po sa lahat ng nakikinig and have a great day. Thank you po. God bless you. Bye!
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Ay, okay.
Nang umalis. Ay, sorry, naka-live pa. Hello po.